It's snowing. By myself because they're lazy.
Police are back.
We're getting the full treatment. Building a Safari R32 GTR. It's either a terrible idea or it is literally going to be the most fun thing ever, and we're gonna find out. The idea started at Lee's when we were tuning the R34 giveaway car. I think I had one too many Coronas and I was staring at a side-by-side parked next to a Skyline. Hanging out with my Porsche friends, all those guys always talk about and rave how good the air-cooled 911 Safaris are. I got to see Porsche's new iteration of the Dakar 911, which is very cool and looked like a blast to drive, but you can't beat the sound of an RB. Now, it doesn't appear as if a Safari GTR has officially been done, but years ago there was a rally GTR in Japan, and then recently Whistling Diesel destroyed an R32 GTR, and I have to say he made it look incredibly fun sliding around on dirt roads, although I believe his car is set up in rear-wheel drive and not all-wheel drive. I do have a lot of love for the GTR, specifically my GTR. I will not be turning this one into a Safari car. I want to start with something that I could have low remorse to enjoy, not intentionally crash, but not be mad if it does get a little banged up. I had the old engine from this car since this one got a 2.8, which worked out perfectly. All I needed was a roller, something without an engine, a little rough around the edges. So I call up Tommy up in Connecticut. He's got the perfect car, only $10,000 for a true GTR with absolutely everything you need minus an engine. But because the car was almost fully parted out, it needed to be put together. So this was going to be a later next year build. However, an opportunity came up. It's huge for us that we sell our merchandise in Zoomies. They do an activation for the top 100 salespeople and a bunch of vendors come out. But it's on a ski slope and I can't bring a drift car to a ski slope. So it worked out perfectly to try to build the GTR in time to try to build the Safari GTR in time. So it worked out perfectly to try to build the Safari GTR in time to bring it out, but it needed to be done and complete by January 1st. So I sent Sean up to Tommy's shop in Connecticut to half build the car up there, and I'll explain to you why that made sense. Building a GTR that's been half parted out can get extremely expensive very fast. A lot of the parts are hard to come by, hard to find. Brand new stuff still exists with a heavy tax, and the people that have used parts know how rare they are, so they want a fortune for them. Now, Tommy Effia, who's a good friend of mine, has a restoration business where he restores these cars, and I knew that Tommy would have everything I'd need to get this car into running form again. Not only does he have a massive used parts selection from parting out cars, but he also has a lot of hardware that's already been zinc coated, ready to go, vapor honed aluminum pieces, powder coated subframes and other brackets, which would massively speed up the process versus trying to build the car in Florida in-house in our shop. I'm calling him every other day asking him to overnight another part that we didn't realize we needed. Now, it's safe to say that my buddy Sean, who works for me, is a certified RB specialist. Between drifting his S15 with an RB25 and recently completing my R34 giveaway car and much, much more, he knows Skylines like the back of his hand, so he went up to Connecticut with his toolbox to find everything that was needed to make this car whole again and bring it back down to Florida.
Well, first time for everything. Sean here. I am in Connecticut. I got the truck and trailer. Adam sent me on a mission. We are starting the Safari GTR build. And I've made it to Tommy's shop and I'm about to show you guys the car now. So I just pressure washed it so it doesn't look as moldy and nasty as it did when I first got it. It's been sitting here for like a year or two. Tommy got it and parted it out. It's not missing too much, just a lot of stuff.
After Sean pressure washed the car, it didn't look too bad. Typical surface rust in the engine bay, little Bondo cracks from maybe a recorder replacement, little surface rust here and there. The interior was kind of scary for me just because of the fact that it looked like it was missing a lot. But again, knowing that Tommy has parts galore, I was pretty confident that Sean would be able to dig up whatever this thing needed. Now, while the car was up in Connecticut, I had to take advantage of some of Tommy's services, so I signed up for what he described to be a tchotch job, aka a very quick scuff and shoot of both the engine bay and the fender liners. Engine bay was going to be done in a single stage paint to make it easy, and then the fender liners get the typical Raptor liner to help keep everything from getting rusty, have it look nice. It's just kind of the typical FES spec treatment, but this one's a little cheap and a little faster. Just me chiming in to remind you that every $5 you spend on LZMFG or DriftHQ.com is going to give you enter for a chance to win this Podium 1 Ultimate Racing Simulator valued at over $50,000. Full motion, triple curve monitors, all the highest end gear, and a PC to power it all, and it could be yours. Check out the link in the description and get entered before it's too late.
All right, so it's Sunday at like 4 o'clock and I'm getting back to work on this rig. We got painted yesterday, so it's been curing for like 24 hours now. So I'm taking all the tape off and I'll roll it out of here, start putting everything together. Came out sick. Got the cage all bolted in, some seats in here, carpet. It's a nice cut dash. Comes out pretty sick. We need some window seals. We got a trunk, we got a wing. Finally looking like a GTR. All right, the whole bottom is almost complete. Shout out Alex. He's been putting in work. If I didn't have him, I'd be pretty screwed. And we're about to put the gas tank in. That Tommy didn't give us the right one, but I think we're gonna try. Because GTRs have plastic gas tanks, Alex.
They do. They do.
So
but it should work.
it should work.
It should work, in theory.
But we got all of the accessories. When we go down, I'll show you guys the top of the engine. Woo! That look fire. Wait till we redo them valve covers. Still here this Wednesday morning by myself because Tommy's guys come in late because they're lazy. I got a surprise for me this morning. I'll show you guys real quick. It's snowing. Yo, Booth is geeked right now. I've never seen snow. This is crazy. What? We lit. So I've never seen snow before, and Adam and I were joking before this trip. He was like, yo, you want to go see snow? And I immediately said yes, so I'm glad it worked out and I got to see a little bit. It's still got a gnarly list, so if I leave today, it'll be late, which I don't want to do. I'd rather leave in the morning and then drive straight through like all day. Still want to assemble like the front end, so I have like the hardware, so we don't search back in Florida. So the guys have been helping me just put all the bolts they know the car needs in there. Police are back.
The police.
We're
what?
done.
What are you
We're done. We're done.
Yeah, Alex built the whole car for you.
Alex did a little bit. Shout out to Alex. So we got a complete car. We don't have fenders because FES being a little spiteful guy and won't
That's not the
won't give me guys fenders. Latch it. We should latches, bro.
I mean, I hope so. I just
Whole headlight.
Did you hook up the hood? Cable?
Yes, biscuit head.
That's too nice.
I got the whole interior. What about these?
Yeah, those are nice.
You got a set?
Set of what? Yeah, I got
He
some.
sucks. Your guys don't think you do. Adam's gonna be pissed about the gauges and the cigarette lighter, but Tommy won't give me one, and we're filming it.
I don't have the gauge.
Okay, he said he doesn't have it.
This car looks sick.
It is. It turned out dope.
The Z-wheels are my favorite.
This is nicer than your
Alan,
S15.
shut up. It is. It's worth more too. So we got
Good build.
full drivetrain in. Everything's together. All the interior's in. We got full interior in the rear. Adam's gonna be stoked on that.
Where'd you find that?
Don't worry about
Who
it.
took this?
Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Round.
We're missing a bracket because Effie won't give it to me.
I don't have it.
All right. Switch the taillights out. We got stock taillights now. A wing and a trunk and a GTR. Thank you, boys, for all your help.
Of course.
Appreciate you guys.
It's been a blast.
Would have been a month ordeal if I didn't have these guys. 4 total days at the shop.
Booth is back.
All right, we
With
made it back
the
to the
GTR.
shop. We got Mike, so no more Sean vlog. I got Mike to film me. Hopefully you guys like that. Mike will chop it up and make me look good. So excited to see that. But we're back. I got the car on the lift. I unloaded everything. We got all the parts there from Tommy's. And we got the car here on the lift. I'm going to pull the engine today just so that next week it can get straight to body work and we can get ready to wrap this thing. So I hope I didn't reveal it, but we are going to wrap it.
Ooh.
So yeah, they got to get all the panels on it. I'm going to pick up fenders tomorrow. I got the bumper last night at like 11 a.m. at a McDonald's. Really sketchy deal, but I got it.
Sean instantly got right to work in pulling the engine out because we had a very small timeline to work with in doing body work and prep to make sure the car could get wrapped to meet our deadline. So Ray and Josh basically spent 2 work days filling holes, fixing dents, repairing rust, and almost the entire car needed to be sanded to ensure there's a nice smooth surface to make sure that the wrap looks good. If you have any little pitting, any little marks underneath, you'll see them through the wrap. So I'd say to do a good wrap job, it's almost the same amount of work to prep as if you were gonna do a good paint job.
why you don't want to do a really high grid whenever you're prepping for paint, because it's just not gonna stick. So you end up with this. So
Just comes right off.
yeah, just barely any effort, and you just peels off like a wrap.
Great for you, for the previous owner.
Yeah, sucks.
It's snowing.
So for the next step of our journey, we're actually going to pick up the GTR from Wrap. When I bought my two E36s, the one that we're building into a race car in Stinky, a free Wrap was thrown in as a deal sweetener from Ogan. You guys saw him in the video checking out what the cars look like now. What's your verdict, Sean? Make the decision for us.
2200.
I mean, I'll give you a free wrap.
I mean, I'll take you up on a free Wrap.
All right, cool.
I don't know what it's going to be on.
Anything you want.
All right.
How about that?
Whole car, dog?
Whole car.
Whole car? Oh! I mean, a free Wrap is enough guarantee for me. All right.
We got some that you probably can't even wrap over there, though.
Yeah, wait until he sees a Ganador. GTR was a perfect project to take him up on the free Wrap job, so we're stopping by a shop and we're gonna see how it came out. Gifts.
Gifts for
Yeah.
Christmas?
Good to see you, dude. Thank you for getting this thing done.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I forgot to bring these with the car.
No problem. I'll take care of that.
Just to put this out there, when you originally said you were gonna wrap the car, I totally thought it was just gonna be like in your garage or something. I had no idea you had such a nice shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like really
Come
sick.
on in. Come on in.
I'm
Welcome to
stoked to see it.
Rappers.
Thank you. Hell yeah, dude. That looks so good.
Oh,
I love the color.
this is sick.
Best thing.
This
Ooh,
right here.
the jams, dude.
Yeah. This is crazy.
That's sick.
Wow.
So this is Inozitec's new color. Their Super Gloss Olive, I believe is what it's called. Saw it at SEMA, it's really nice. It's not camouflage colored, which was originally what I was gonna go with, but it's still cool. It's kind of got the safari vibe.
Yeah, it's like pastel green. That's super cool.
It's sick. This car was really, really rough before too.
Yeah.
Then you right behind the gas cap too. Holy that's crazy. I remember you sent me the photo too. Didn't you do the trunk jams too? You gotta chill, dude.
Just by one bolt.
That's crazy.
That looks so sick.
Yeah.
Try to make it look like paint as possible.
Yeah, killer job,
Yeah,
dude.
thank you, thank you.
Now, I'm not usually a wrap guy, but Inozitec's film has a very paint-like finish. Other vinyls have an orange peel, and the cars that have an Inozitec will absolutely fool people into thinking it's paint, and their color options are rad too. Looks so good.
Yeah.
Especially like considering what this thing looked like when it started.
Oh yeah, it's hammered.
It's sick. But I like it's perfect. It's perfect for what the car's gonna be used for.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's snowing.
All right, we are back in the shop now with the car, and Sean is putting his finishing touches on the engine before it goes back in the car. Now in this episode, we will not be fully diving into all of the off-road Safari specific mods that we're doing to the car. That will be the focus of the next video, but in this one, I did want to kind of give you a breakdown on the drivetrain of this car, some things that we're doing a little bit differently and some stuff that we're doing very similar to other Skylines we've built in the past. Now, as I mentioned, this is the old engine from my R32. For all intents and purposes, we're gonna call it stock, but it does have cam gears. It had some sort of upgraded cams in it that seem to pair really well with the old turbo that was in it, which is similar but extremely dated to the new turbo that is going on this. Now, interestingly enough, this is not a G series. I chose to go with a Gen 2 Garrett GTX 3576R. Now, the reason being, this turbo, if you're familiar with the G series lineup, would be the equivalent of like a G35 770. So you have the big exhaust side to flow really well for making power and all the good sounds up top, but a tinier compressor side, so it still has really good transient response. It's snappy, good for digging out of dirt corners. It would have been cool to do a twin turbo setup on this car, and I think that we could have gotten it pretty good, but it's a lot less serviceable. There's a lot more going on. And for a car that I plan to take off-road, on trips, journeys, having the most simple engine setup was key. In terms of stuff you can't see, this engine did have drop-in ARP2000 head studs just to hold a little bit more boost. And recently Sean resealed the oil pan and also put in a PRP built gear in an N1 oil pump. We've also got the PRP head drain. If you know RBs, they tend to fill up with oil in the head. It's kind of like one of their flaws, and there's a lot of mods you can do to combat that. This is one of the best things that you can do, and it's better to do it now while the engine's out versus having to do it while it's in the car. These RTEC manifolds we've had really good results on. I've now had it on the giveaway R34, my C4, and my 800 horsepower R32 sedan. Makes really good power, and again, it's really simple, really easily serviceable. I guess one off-road specific thing we will dive into is the all-wheel drive system. I don't know how well it's going to work for how I want to use the car, but speaking of some rally friends and some GTR people, the route that we went was using PRP's all-wheel drive controller so we can adjust how much power it sends to the front and the rear wheels. And I was on the fence about what to do on the front diff. Originally, I was gonna run a stock front diff, but we found that Quaife makes a 1.5 way, which should allow us full lock up on acceleration. And then on deceleration, it will unlock. I made the mistake in my Evo at one point of putting a 2-way in the front diff, not knowing anything about all-wheel drive, and I just got push everywhere because essentially it's like having a welded diff on the front unless you're coasting, which, you know, if you're on the brakes or it's just bad. So the 1.5 way should help, it should feel good. But what we're doing here is slightly experimental. And like I said, it's either gonna work great or it's not going to, but it's gonna be a lot of fun trying. We've got some D-Shorks 1200cc injectors on here with a radium fuel rail. The car is going to be flex fuel. I'm gonna put more time tuning this on pump gas than I typically would, just because if I'm going long distances, pump gas, you get better gas mileage. And I don't know where I'm gonna end up, if I'm gonna end up in the desert and if I'm gonna have access to ethanol. A lot of stuff on this engine and on this car is parts bin stuff that I had laying around. As an example, these ITBs are not new. They're not remade ITBs, but they were new at one point, and they were the ones that I ran back on my R32 sedan when I had the RB25 with the ITB conversion. One other trick bit that I have on my other GTR that I absolutely love, big pet peeve of mine, is when people put catch cans on the exhaust side. A lot of people do it because of space reasons. Obviously on a right-hand drive car, you can't stick it here. It's a little bit more challenging, so we'll put it over there. But if you're putting your car through its paces and it overflows, now you have oil hitting a hot exhaust manifold or downpipe and you get a fire. So Driver Motorsports makes this cool little setup. It goes right in front of a small size battery and keeps it on the intake side as far as possible away from the exhaust. Seems to be working well on that car, so I figured I might as well do the same thing. I mentioned flex fuel. This car will be running on a Link G4X, the same ECU in my other R32 GTR. Between all the different climates and elevations this car is gonna run at, it's gonna get the full kit and caboodle when it comes to sensors. We'll be diving more into that when it comes to tuning this car. But I wanna go overboard, monitor temps on stuff like the transfer case, the diff, just to know if I'm putting it through situations that it wouldn't normally go through, just so I can stay on top of it. In addition to the radium fuel rail, this car does have an entire radium fuel system. They have an amazing drop-in unit that allows you to have not only 2 feed pumps, but it also has a built-in surge tank. So we have a lift pump feeding 2 twin pumps, comes with all the lines and brackets that you need underneath the car. It's nicely labeled, easily serviceable, and will be plenty of fuel for what we need for my 500-ish horsepower goal for what I'm gonna use this thing. We've been experimenting with different prismatic powders to try to get the closest match that we can. This is matte Kelly green texture from prismatic powders and the valve covers. Looks really cool. Kind of a shade darker, but we might run with it. And then this is frog green, which I think is closer, but it's like a little bit more yellow. Thankfully, we have access to a ton of different colors from Prismatic, and we might even try creating some hybrid of the two. I don't know if this car will forever stay this color, but at least tying in the valve covers will make it pop and kind of create some sort of like continuation in the engine bay rather than it being, I don't know, weird. On the interior, you might have seen in some of the shots when Sean was in Connecticut, but it does actually have a bolt-in full roll cage. Now, I knew that I wanted to do a roll cage. I didn't know if I necessarily wanted to do a roll cage this style. However, Tommy had a brand new dash without a bubble in it that was already cut to this cage. Pretty much a brand new carpet that was already cut for this cage as well. And he said he'd throw it in with the deal. So I feel like, you know, God forbid I roll this thing over. Hopefully that doesn't happen. It'll be nice to have a cage. Down the road, maybe we'll change it up a little bit. I would like to see if I can pull out this rear crossbar and get the rear seat to fit, just to make it look a little bit nicer and, you know, throw my duffel bags when I'm going on a safari. I don't even know what people do with Safari cars, so like we're really in for a journey here. In my mind, I want to create something. It's kind of f***ed up that I didn't talk about this at all in the video yet. I could go and I could take it, you know, on some Florida gravel roads. I could take it through some light mud. I could take it in the snow. I could take it on some rocks. Jumping it might be a little bit adventurous. I don't know if I have full faith in the clearance and what we're gonna have with my tire plan. But let's call it a sporty off-road adventure vehicle. I guess the last thing that I'll touch on in terms of drivetrain is that I am going to be running a stock 5-speed on this car. I wish I could run a Getrag in it just to have the closer splits, especially once it has bigger tires on it. But that would literally cost more than the cost of the car. So seeing as the stock 5-speeds are relatively easy to get, they're cheap. If I break one, if I make it mad, I can get replacements. And maybe down the road, if it works really well, I could put a sequential or something ignorant in it. But it would have to work really good for me to justify spending that kind of money on a Safari car. Although this thing's coming out sick, it's obviously got a long ways to go. It's going on a road trip tomorrow for the first of its Safari mods. I'm not certain that the next episode will necessarily be up Thursday because I want to make some serious progress with the Safari stuff. But by Friday, you'll get another update on this thing. I hope you guys are excited about the ridiculous idea that may or may not work, but will be a lot of fun in the process. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you soon.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, it's so good.
Ooh, the jams, dude.
This is crazy.
That's